What if I told you the ending you hated? The one that split the fandom in half. The one people called cheap fan service. And the death of canon. What if I told you it wasn't even the ending? Because just when you thought the controversy had cooled, the actor at the center of this chaos has broken their silence. And what they've said? It doesn't just defend their exit. It rewrites everything we thought we knew about Season 15 why, and maybe even the future of Doctor Who itself. And here's the twist nobody saw coming. This isn't just about ego. It isn't about clapping back at critics. It's about secrets. About deals made behind closed doors. About the words in a leaked memo that could change the meaning of canon forever. So if you think this story ended when the credits rolled, you're about to find out. Doctor Who doesn't end. It mutates. It survives. And this time, it might survive by becoming something unrecognizable. Let's go back. Season 15's finale. The episode that set social media on fire within minutes of airing. The regeneration twist. The moment that made millions scream, cheer, cry, and rage. You know the one. The Doctor doesn't regenerate the way they always have. Instead of one face fading and another taking its place, we got generation. Two Doctors existing at once. Two timelines branching like cracks in a mirror. Some fans loved it, called it the boldest twist since the Time War reveal. Others said it was a cheap ratings grab. Said it broke everything Doctor Who stood for. Said Russell T Davies had finally gone too far. And in the eye of that storm, the actor who stepped away, the one whose exit was supposed to be emotional closure, but instead became ground zero for the biggest canon war since the Timeless Child. Here's where it gets interesting. Because most actors, they keep it polite. They thank the fans. They post a few emojis on Instagram and vanish into the next project. Not this one. This actor came out swinging. And in their own words, people saying it was a stunt don't understand the story we're telling. This isn't the end. You think you've seen it all. You haven't seen half of it. Half of it. Half. What does that even mean? And then the bombshell. This was planned years ago. Long before Disney. Long before the streaming deal. If you think it's a gimmick, that's your loss. Years ago, before Disney, if that's true, it blows up the entire theory that this finale was a corporate, engineered stunt. But is it true? Or is it spin? Because here's what I've learned digging into this, that statement, only half the truth. Yes, the concept for a fractured Doctor was on RTD's whiteboard as far back as Season 14's development. He wanted to explore identity, not as a linear journey, but as a collision of selves. But here's the forbidden part. That story wasn't meant to explode this early. Multiple insiders told me the same thing. Season 15 was supposed to tease the fracture, not resolve it. The big split? That was a Season 16 mid-series climax. But then the metrics came in. Disney saw engagement lagging after the premiere spike. And someone, high up, dropped the 3 words that can kill a story arc. One need virality? And just like that, the finale became an algorithmic grenade. Drop the twist now. Go global. Make it trend. So when the actor says this was planned for years, they're not lying. They're just not telling you why the trigger got pulled early. Let me ask you something. Was this exit bold storytelling or desperate shock value? Comment right now BLD if you think RTD made the right call, or desperate if you think the show sold its soul for clicks. Because the next part of this story, it's bigger than one finale. It's about something in the leaked BBC Disney creative guidelines. A phrase that sounds innocent until you realize what it means for canon, for lore, for everything that makes Doctor Who Doctor Who. That phrase? Continuity elasticity. And once you understand what that is, you'll realize this controversy isn't the end. It's the opening shot of a war for the soul of this show. When that actor defended their exit, they slipped in a phrase most people missed. A phrase that sounded like harmless sci-fi jargon. But it isn't fiction. It's policy language straight out of BBC Disney's internal guidelines. They called it continuity elasticity. Sounds fancy, right? But what does it really mean? Here's the official line from the leaked creative framework. Continuity elasticity allows flexible reinterpretation of established narrative constructs to enhance accessibility and engagement for evolving audiences. Translation. Canon isn't a rule anymore. It's a resource. Something to reshape whenever the algorithm demands. This isn't about storytelling freedom. It's about brand engineering. Doctor Who's history, 60 years of lore, hard-won rules, emotional payoffs, is now elastic, stretchable, breakable. Not for the sake of art, but for engagement. Continuity elasticity means everything can change at any time without warning. Timelines. Fluid. Regeneration limits. Optional. Fixed points. Only if they trend well. Remember when regeneration was this sacred, terrifying process? When every goodbye hit like a funeral in space. Gone. Now it's a content lever. Pull it when metrics dip. The season 15 finale was the first stress test. Beat generation wasn't just a twist. It was an experiment. How far can we bend the rules before fans break? And the result? Chaos. Trending hashtags. Millions of comments. Mission accomplished. But here's where it gets darker. They're not stopping here. Among the files circulating in fan circles, there's one email that stopped me cold. Allegedly from Russell T. Davies to senior producers during the rewrite storm. Subject line, new reality. And inside, this line. If we need to stretch the rules to keep the show alive, then the rules will stretch. The alternative is no show at all? That's RTD. The man who resurrected Doctor Who in 2005. The man who gave us Rose and 10. Now admitting the show's DNA is negotiable. And honestly, I believe him. Because the numbers tell a brutal truth, Doctor Who isn't just fighting for ratings. It's fighting for existence in a streaming battlefield where content is disposable. So what do you do when your show isn't disposable? When it's history. You bend history until it fits the market. This is the part nobody wants to say out loud. Disney doesn't write scripts. Disney doesn't pick monsters. But Disney sets parameters. During the finale's rewrite phase, 3 directives came down from the joint board. Ensure globally shareable moments in the climax. Integrate legacy elements for cross-generational engagement. Reduce lore density to lower onboarding barriers. Sound corporate? It is. But if you translate it into fan language, it reads like this: big twists that explode on TikTok. Old faces for nostalgia clout. Lore stripped down so first-timers aren't lost. That's why we lost the quiet, devastating ending RTD originally wrote, and got a flashy, algorithm-ready shockwave instead. Here's something that should make every Whovian furious. There was an original final shot that made crew members cry on set. The Doctor, alone in the TARDIS. 2 heartbeats. Out of sync. A reflection in the console glass. One face fading, another flickering in. A silent admission that regeneration is death wearing a smile. But that scene never aired. Why? Because according to exec notes, it was too introspective for viral amplification. Yes, that's a real phrase. So they replaced tragedy with TikTok fodder. Let's test the elasticity right here. Do you think canon should be flexible if it means Doctor Who survives? Comment now. BNTHEROLS. If you're okay with a fluid canon. IT Cesiride? If you think the rules should never break. Because what I'm about to reveal in the next section. It's bigger than a finale. It's bigger than bid generation. It's a franchise-level reboot plan that could erase everything you love. And it has a name: Project Eternal. By now, you've probably figured it out. Season 15 wasn't just a finale, it was a stress test. An audition tape for a larger plan. Behind the scenes, BBC and Disney executives have been quietly developing something called Project Eternal. That's not a code name. It's the real working title of a future Doctor Who reboot. A realignment. Here's the pitch from a leaked production doc: a unified, evergreen timeline. No continuity baggage. Multiple Doctors recontextualized as mythic archetypes, not fixed personas. In other words, a total rewrite of Doctor Who's structure, where past incarnations aren't necessarily real, but echoes, within a streamlined, globally accessible canon. One Doctor at a time. Forever. No more big generation. No alternate timelines. Just one face, rebooted every 10 years for global brand consistency. Myth over lore. Past Doctors become legends in the time vortex, stories, not history. This removes the pressure to keep canon intact while still allowing legacy references. Cross-media uniformity. Games, comics, all must mirror the eternal canon. No more splinters. One narrative everywhere. Hard reset in 2027, if needed. If Season 16 underperforms, the trigger is pulled. Doctor Who Eternal becomes the new start point. Everything before, classified as mythic content. This isn't speculation. These documents exist. And if you've noticed how recent episodes keep teasing myth, memory, and collapsing timelines, now you know why. They're priming the audience, prepping us for collapse. There's one person who saw this coming and said no. Loudly, clearly, without apology. Christopher Eccleston, the 9th Doctor. The comeback that fans have begged for 2 decades. What if I told you he was approached for the season 15 finale? Not for a lead arc, just one scene. A corridor of timelines. A single moment, a glance, a word, and he turned it down. Not because of money. Not because of ego. Because of integrity. I love the Doctor. But I won't be part of a lie. That's the quote. That's the legacy he left on the table. Because he believed the show had strayed too far. And honestly, he may be right. Now let me tell you about a scene that will haunt me forever. Not because I saw it, but because I never will. This moment existed. It was shot, edited, finalized, then destroyed. It was the real ending of the finale. Ataris cloaked in silence. The Doctor facing their fractured reflection. One side fading, one side surviving. And they whisper, "This is how I end. This is how I begin." At the same time, every time. It was the line that would have defined regeneration as something beautiful and terrifying. That every new face is also a eulogy. Why was it cut? Because the exec note said, too poetic, too final, not reusable. In a content economy, you can't afford closure. You need cliffhangers. You need questions. You need elasticity. So here we are. A Doctor Who where canon is elastic, where exits are algorithmic, where legacy is optional, and where the show we love is one season away from being rebranded. The actor fought back, but not just for themselves. They fought for a story that had a soul, for an ending that meant something, and that fight might be the most heroic thing we've seen from this show in years. So now I'm asking you, right now, before the next season changes everything, do we fight to keep Doctor Who weird, unpredictable, full of heartache and madness? Or do we let it become just another product? Another franchise flattened by branding decks and focus groups? Comment below, ERD-EUHO, if you want emotion over engagement, or GOBELUHO, if you think reinvention is the only way it survives. And don't hold back. Because this is our show, and silence is a vote too. If this episode pulled back the curtain for you, if you want more leaks, memos, and forbidden truths, then you need to hit that subscribe button right now. Because the next Birieto Bobbin, we're exposing the secret casting shortlist Disney made, without RTD's input. Yes, there's a name on there that will blow your mind, and another that nearly caused RTD to walk away entirely. So until next time, I'm James Roxer. Stay strange, stay suspicious, and remember, don't trust the canon. Because the canon doesn't trust